Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Alot here, and today I'm going to be chatting to you about how many times a week do we need to train the glutes, the legs, the booty, that whole lower body region. Because I got asked a question the other day and someone was like, why do you train legs so much? Is it because you want to lose fat from that area? And it got me thinking, because I feel like a lot of people are confused about why you're training a muscle group for frequency. Are you training it more because you want more fat loss to that area? Or are you training it more because you want more muscle tissue to that area? So I think this is an important topic to understand, and it'll help you understand how to improve your symmetry overall when it comes to your physique. So what I mean by symmetry is basically the balance of upper body to lower body. So let's say, for example, you are a little uncomfortable in a bikini in summer, and that is because, say, you have a much bigger lower body than upper body, which is very common for a lot of females. Then that's going to differ how you train as opposed to someone who is maybe more top heavy and doesn't have much muscle in the legs and bum. As females, we all have different shapes. We are all beautiful individuals. I think we should embrace what we have genetically, but at the same time, there is nothing wrong with wanting to self-improve some of these areas that maybe make you a little bit more self-conscious at times. So for me, for example, I have always been a very athletic shape. So an athletic shape, for example, would be something like this, a little more straight up and down type of physique, where you don't have very broad hips, you don't have super broad shoulders, you have a little bit of muscle mass, but generally speaking, you're quite straight up and down. So you don't have a large amount of muscle everywhere, but it's pretty even and pretty symmetrical, but there's not a lot of curve and shape. So that's kind of more my natural genetic structure. So I've got to accept that I'm not going to have that kind of Kim Kardashian waist and shape, and that's cool. Accept what you have, but try to enhance and work with what you've got. Now, if we have someone else, for example, who has this typical shape of the real tiny waist, big broad hips, and that smaller upper body, and they're wanting to look a little bit more athletic and have less of that bottom heavy appearance, then they're going to be training very different to someone who's got that athletic physique. Much the same for someone who's very tall and skinny and long, it's going to be very different training. So this is where I think it's important to understand that there's going to be so many different programs out there on the internet, but look at who has written them, what their shape is like and what they're trying to improve on, and understand that. Now, obviously with my clients and with a lot of my programs, I give variations for different body types, and especially with my VIP clients, we work in a more customized sense to tailor that plan to what their body requires. So this being said, why do I train legs 3 to 4 times a week, which generally speaking is the norm? At the moment, I train the lower body 3 times a week and my upper body twice a week, but I actually hit my shoulders a 3rd time on one of my leg days as well. Now, when the person asked the question the other day, so thank you for the question, I think it was on Facebook, why do I train it? Is it because I want to lose more fat off my legs? This is not the reason. So generally speaking, I don't look at resistance training as a key fat loss tool. Resistance training is obviously going to help you maintain lean muscle tissue. It's going to help with energy expenditure in a dietary phase. Training lower body more frequently than upper body, they're larger muscle groups. So generally it may help with fat loss a little more, training legs more consistently from that standpoint, from an energy standpoint, from a muscle size standpoint, but from an actual specific fat targeting standpoint, not so much. Our bodies aren't quite that smart. We can't unfortunately target fat from certain areas to come off, even if we're stimulating a bit more. It may help a little more with circulation. So if you do have, say, more cellulite, then often training the lower body and circulating more blood flow can assist. Now, I'm not saying that cellulite is the same as fat loss. I'm saying that cellulite is obviously going to reduce as well when it comes to fat loss, but definitely if you're very lean and you still have a bit of cellulite, it may be to do a little bit with blood flow. So coming back to that question, why do I train them that frequently? Generally speaking, my symmetry has always been a little bit more muscular in the upper body and a lot skinnier, especially in my glutes. I had no bum for several years. It's taken me a good solid 4 or 5 years to train and build my glutes. I was always training before that, but I wouldn't say training properly for that goal. And my training was all over the place. I would just kind of do your typical bro bodybuilding splits where I would, hit chest 2 or 3 times a week and maybe hit legs once or twice. And what ended up happening was I got bigger in my traps and certain areas that I really didn't need big. I built a lot of muscle around my pecs and my glutes didn't really grow. I wasn't hitting them frequently enough for that growth and stimulus. So the big factor here is if there is an area you want to grow, train it more frequently. So if you want to grow your legs, I actually really like the look of bigger legs and a bigger physique down there, maybe because I've never had it and been more athletic, trying to build that quad sweep, build the glutes. then I'll be training the legs more frequently, 3, say 4 times a week sometimes. Now with the upper body, I don't feel like I need to build a lot of muscle in my chest, certain areas of my back, only really certain areas that I want to hit. So I'll train them with less frequency. So this is what I want females to understand. I've had a lot of girls come to me and they are a lot more bottom heavy, some of my awesome little Italian clients who genetically have that bigger hip, smaller waist, smaller upper body, and they're wanting to become a little more athletic and a little bit more symmetrical upper body to lower body. And I actually often get them training legs less frequently. Now I know probably a few of you are listening and going, why? Well, aren't they more bottom heavy? Don't they have like more body fat there? Absolutely. But the thing we need to understand is that if you have body fat and then also have muscle mass, the area is going to look bigger. Now, obviously, if we can have them in a caloric deficit and be also dropping fat in the process, their legs are going to look smaller. If we're also adding muscle to that area, then they're going to look bigger overall. So remember, muscle covered by fat is going to look a lot bigger than muscle covered by less fat, or a bit of muscle and a bit of fat. So if you're not trying to enhance an area, I wouldn't be training it more frequently. So I remember having one of my clients a few years ago and she was like, my quads are so big, I hate them, they've got so much body fat. And I was like, right, what are you training? She's like, well, I do legs 4 days a week and I do lots of lunges and squats and they just keep getting bigger. And I'm like, this is why, because you're training them so frequently and you're forgetting about your upper body. And what ends up happening is the muscle there grows and she's not training her upper body enough. So that looks even bigger and this looks even smaller. So if you're someone that is more bottom heavy and you're wanting to have that illusion of a more balanced physique, train your upper body more frequently. Train your shoulders, get width through your delts, width in your lats. It's going to enhance that upper body, create a little bit more width, which will in turn to actually make your legs look smaller. It is all an optical illusion, trust me. So the way that I've made myself look like I have a waist, because I am generally speaking quite straight up and down, or I used to be, is by growing my shoulders and growing my bum. When you don't have any hips, you got to grow the shoulders and you got to grow the bum to create that more hourglass shape. So guys, this being said, I hope this understands a little bit more behind why you would train certain muscle groups more frequently than others. Think about your shape, understand your shape and physique. If you're not sure, ask a coach, get them to have a good look at it, and also understand what you like the look of, because I like the look of girls with a bit more muscle in their legs and bum, but some of my clients don't like that. And they might want a more slender and more, I guess, streamlined physique where it's a little bit more thin and straight up and down. And that's fine too. But make sure you're doing the appropriate training to match your goals. And this is why often ladies training with your boyfriend on his bro bodybuilding split, where you're doing chest day and arm day and shoulder day and hitting legs once a week, is not going to cut the mustard when it comes to growing your booty and legs. So have a think about, number one, your goals, how you're training currently is number 2, and then how you can restructure that to get better results. This is really, I guess, the key when it comes to not only getting a better physique in terms of symmetry, but also muscle mass overall. So if you want a muscle to grow, train it more frequently, train it with more volume, eat more calories to grow obviously as well is super, super important. And if you're wanting to make a muscle group look smaller, then obviously number 1 is going to be reduce caloric intake, create a deficit, lose body fat overall. That muscle group will look smaller, but then also train it potentially a little bit less frequently, a little bit less volume intensive, back it off a little bit, pull back a little bit, and train the areas where you want to enhance basically in terms of your physique. But in saying this, ladies, the other big thing to remember is accept genetically what you are given. Don't hate on your body for what it is. Love your body for what it is. Accept that. Work on what you can, but at the same time, please do not go comparing yourself to physiques that are completely different to yours. I don't go compare my physique to some 6'2" Victoria's Secret model. I used to do that when I was 18, 19, wasted a hell of a lot of time trying to look quote unquote skinny. It's not going to happen on my athletic frame. I can't get taller and skinnier. That is just not going to happen. But what I can do is work on other areas to create the illusion of shape. So accept what you've got, don't be too tough on yourself about it, but also understand that your training needs to match those variables that I've said before. So I hope this video helps you when it comes to understanding your optimal training frequency, body part splits. And if you like this video, please comment below and let me know what else you would love to see on board. And if you're on YouTube, make sure that you also subscribe to the channel, which is just aliceround.com. I think search my name in the YouTube bar and it will pop right up. Thank you so much for listening to this video and I'll chat to you soon. See ya.